So, what really makes a great teacher? It's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? For decades, people have been trying to pin down the exact answer. We're usually told it's about having certain skills or a specific knowledge base, but what if it's way, way deeper than that? Today, we're going to dive into some research that gives us a much richer way to think about teacher competency. Okay, let's just tackle this head on. The common idea is that you can figure out if a teacher is good with a simple checklist. Do they manage the classroom well? Check. Do they know their subject inside and out? Check. But does that really get to the heart of what makes an amazing teacher? The material we're looking at today says, no way. That approach totally misses the point. And this quote right here, this is the core idea. Competency isn't something you can just point to and see. It's this internal thing that we can only guess at, that we infer by watching what a teacher actually does in the classroom. Think about it like this. You see your car driving down the road. That's the activity. But the competency, that's the engine under the hood, the hidden thing that's making it all happen. So let's get a clear definition on the table. Competency isn't just about having a bunch of knowledge and skills stored away. It's the dynamic, in-the-moment ability to pull all of those resources together, your knowledge, your values, your past experiences, and use them to act effectively in a real, messy, unpredictable classroom. It's all about action, not just having stuff in your head. Okay, so if it's not a simple checklist, how in the world are we supposed to understand it? Well, this framework breaks it down into 4 different but totally connected perspectives. You can think of them as 4 different lenses we can use to look at the very same, very complex picture. Let's start with the first one. First up, we have the scientific view. And this one is fascinating because it focuses entirely on the teacher's internal world, all the stuff that we can't see. We're talking about their real-time judgments, their perceptions, their values, all those split-second decisions they have to make. It's the invisible mental engine driving every single action. And next, we've got the practical view, which is basically the flip side of that same coin. This is about what we can actually observe. Does the teacher actually achieve their goal? Can they manage the lesson? Can they adapt when a student throws a curveball? Can they get the job done? This is competency in action, out in the open. This table just lays it out perfectly. The scientific view is the internal why. It's all the thinking and judging happening behind the scenes. The practical view is the external how. It's the action and the results you can see. And here's the thing. You absolutely cannot have one without the other. All the deep thinking in the world is useless if it doesn't lead to effective action, right? Okay, but hold on. Is competency a fixed thing? Like you either have it or you don't? Absolutely not. And that brings us to our third perspective, the developmental view. This one reframes the whole idea as a process of growth that happens over a teacher's entire career. You can see it right here in this timeline. A teacher's ability evolves. They start out just learning the ropes, then they start to gain some confidence. As they keep going, they learn how to handle more and more complex situations, slowly but surely moving toward mastering their craft. It's a journey, and it takes real time and experience. And this is so, so crucial. Competency isn't some box you can just tick off or a certificate you earn once and you're done. No, it's a continuous, career-long process of learning and adapting. A teacher is always developing, always fine-tuning their practice. The goal isn't really to be competent, it's to be constantly becoming more competent. So this all leads to a really tricky question, doesn't it? If competency is this internal thing that's demonstrated externally and is always developing, how on earth do we actually judge it? This is where our fourth and final perspective comes into play, the evaluative view. See, evaluating competency isn't a simple measurement. It's a complex judgment call. It means you're looking at a teacher's work and comparing it to professional standards for where they are in their career. But, and this is the big one, you have to consider the specific context. Is the school well-resourced, or is it totally underfunded? Is the class size 15 students, or is it 40? Those things matter a lot. This quote just nails it. You cannot judge a teacher's skill in a vacuum. A fantastic teacher is going to look very different in a chaotic, under-resourced classroom than they would in a quiet, perfectly equipped one. Context is everything. Any evaluation has to be tied to the reality of the situation on the ground. Okay, so we've looked through 4 very different lenses. So how do we put them all together to get one clear picture? Well, the key is to stop seeing them as separate ideas and start seeing them as 4 essential parts of a single, holistic model for really understanding and supporting our teachers. So here it is, the big takeaway, all in one place. We start with the inferred internal thinking, which is then demonstrated through external actions. This ability is developed over time on a long journey, and it can only be fairly judged when you take the specific context into account. You need all four pieces of the puzzle. But here's the thing. This whole four-part model, it doesn't exist in a bubble. There's one final, absolutely critical piece of the puzzle. For teachers to actually develop, and for their competency to be assessed fairly, they need a supportive environment around them. The school's culture, the district, the whole system, it plays a massive role. And that brings us to our final really important point. If we accept this more complex, more human view of teaching, it puts a huge responsibility on schools and districts. It forces us to ask, what does a culture of real professional support actually look like? It means we have to move beyond simple checklists. It means creating systems that actually encourage continuous learning, that provide meaningful feedback in context, and that value the long, complicated journey of a teacher's development. The real challenge, then, isn't just to measure teachers, it's to create the conditions to truly help them grow.